Stop getting naked, I'm streaming.
Not naked.
Stop getting naked, I'm streaming. That's lewd. Will get me banned, stop. Maybe I just want to see you naked. No, 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 no.
If you ask,
Because then you won't want to put them all back on. You'll have to go stand in the mirror for another 35 minutes.
Why would I have to stand in the mirror?
Make sure everything's hunky dory.
Hunky dory.
Mm-hmm.
Dory hunky. I'm gonna wear my skirt today, but it's white and I don't want to put it on until we're actually leaving.
Racist.
Well, white gets dirty quick.
It's racist.
And stains.
Racist.
I just eat Bella food.
Oh, I forgot I was messing with Legion again yesterday, so I have to
Fix your shit.
I have to watch the game this way. What?
It was the best job in the world.
Blowjobs. That's the best jobs in the world.
My name is Anmo Ahmed. I'm calling about your car's extended warranty. Oh, I forgot to fucking tell this guy.
Callous guy.
Tell this guy. He's pretty computer illiterate, but that's fine. It's better than him being computer illiterate and actually thinking he knows something, because I can't stand those people. It's like, you want me to tell you how to do it or not, you know?
High school janitor invented a new
Yeah, I made videos about this. He clearly didn't watch all my videos. But you know what? I'm a nice guy.
You should have just linked the video that has whatever he needs in it.
Flipped it, yeah.
Might actually have been faster than typing it all out.
Um,
Whatever, I just want to show you.
hopefully that made sense. All right, show me.
I'm well past it now.
This high school janitor invented a way to all faster.
Those gun shells? Share that in Discord. I love it. Get your stanky feet off my
My feet are
chair.
clean.
Chode smoker.
Nope, just the dick smoker.
I gotta go to the lair. I gotta go to the noxious lair.
It'll only let me share the link. It won't let me actually share anything else.
We're investigating the Silithid or whatever it's called. There's a dead bird on the ground. And a gnome running away from the scene of the crime.
Who's gnoming your thing and stuff?
Hmm?
Who's gnoming your thing and stuff?
Gnoming?
Oh, that event's today.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't gnome when I'm talking?
Correct.
Okay. Alright, is this about clone turning? Yes, it is.
So don't get short with me.
Well, what if I want to get long with you? What time is that? Oh, I won't be able to join that. Make me. Bitch. What do I want? Bitch. Yes. Ooh, I got two feather balls. I think I'll change either of ours. Here I go.
I gotta go find insect parts. Maybe this guy's seen some insect parts. There we go. These guys might drop them, so I'm gonna keep killing them. Or just don't drop anything on a spite. That's fine too. That was from downtown. Ooh. That's a fair drop rate, I think. Fuck. I got way too cocky. If I ever try to do a hardcore run on this, it's going to be anxiety inducing.
But you don't have anxiety.
Hmm?
But you don't have anxiety.
You're right, because I'm not a woman.
Oh, come on.
Just stay off YouTube. Stop. Just stay off YouTube. It's like, I don't know why people make shorts. And they just, and it looks like something interesting. And they decided to put this obnoxious music in the background. It's like, now I don't even want to watch your video. Speaking of video, load up some old Osmond videos here now that I found them. Back when he was a straight alpha male. I'm gonna rewind this one a little bit because I wasn't really listening to it earlier.
And it was
Or yesterday.
recommended by LiveBro.
I'm thinking about probably getting this. I'm not sure if I will or not, but I might. Charge an enemy, knock it silly for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. That's fucking ridiculous.
It's a
Wait, it's horde only.
level 40 plate item with agility and stamina, but more importantly, it does exactly the same thing that the Goblin Rocket Helmet does. Though this has a 30-minute cooldown compared to the Rocket Helmet's 20 minutes.
Rocket helmet's better.
But still, a non-engineering item that makes the target incapacitated for 30 seconds?
Holy shit.
That's a dream item for anyone who's heavy on the PvP and has big enough balls to take on a 2v1, so it's another item definitely worth keeping in the back
Yeah,
of your head
yeah, that's
should
really
you want
good.
to have some extra utility in your PvP
Wow.
activities.
What the fuck,
Up
man?
next is the Black Duskwood Staff. A staff with no caster stats and a chance on hit for melees. Yeah, this staff has always been an odd duckling, and because of those stats, no one really saw any value in it, and thus it always ended up on the auction house for next to no money.
Yeah?
However, as I've just explained with the Crescent Staff, wearing a staff as a melee DPS
Oh, no.
isn't necessarily a really bad thing,
Oh, no.
and the same goes for this item. Now this is a level 33 item, so any warrior should have their Whirlwind Axe by now, and have something like Axe or Sword
Who's not
specialization
gonna have it
depending on the item.
33? Who's gonna do that 33?
However, for Enhancement Shamans, this item isn't half bad. It has a
Oh
fast
my
attack
God.
speed and no real stats, but because you can pick this up for dirt cheap, and because the DPS is still not too shabby, you can actually do a fair amount of damage with this thing, and use this for leveling, and even some PvP. Sure, you might
I
look a
think I'm
little
playing the
funny
wrong
as
class.
an Enhancement Shaman wearing a staff, but you'll have the last laugh when you mow someone down with a Wind Fury crit using
Holy
this
shit,
item.
man.
Now it's time to talk about the Phantom Blade, recommended by FishFood159.
Decreases the armor of the target by 100 for 20 seconds. Oh, this is like the dazzling longsword.
A very cool looking item, but also a very handy chance on hit, because it decreases the armor of the target by 100 seconds, but more importantly, they cannot stealth or turn invisible during these 20
That's
seconds.
insane.
Which makes this a great counter weapon for when you're fighting a rogue who
Fuck
mid-fight
rogues.
wants to vanish and open up on you again,
Fuck them.
because now they can't anymore.
That's smart.
That, and it has a decent 2.6 attack speed, and the damage itself is pretty good too. The only problem is that it's rather expensive to make, but despite that, I'd
Oh
say it's
yeah,
still a
I
pretty
remember. Yeah, it
underrated
took
item
a ton of shit.
because
I
of
made
that
this in,
chance on
in
hit.
Legion.
Time to talk about something a little different.
Okay.
The Crystal of Zin Malor, recommended by Moonsty. This item is part of an alliance quest, and
Deals damage and drains 100 to 501 mana every second if you are not worthy. Check out this vanilla item.
Those damn. Oh, jeez.
if you never
not bad.
handed that quest, you can have this
It's a lot of mana.
item for as long as you
Oh.
please. So what
Did
is
you do a sound check?
is part of an
Huh?
Did you do a sound check?
I sure hope so.
alliance quest.
I just
and
wanted to
Yep,
make
it's
sure.
working.
I just wanted
Thank
to
you,
make sure.
sweetie.
hand in that quest,
But the
you
one
can
time
have
you
this
don't,
item
think
for a
about
long
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna go through half your stream and just.
Yeah, I
generated
took a
item
ton of shit.
because
I
of
made
that
this
chance
in
on hit.
Legion.
I
Time to
remember
talk
why I
about
came in here
something
now.
a
You're
little different.
distracting my ass.
I'm trying to listen to this. What do you want?
I accidentally put your creamer in my coffee. It tastes absolutely disgusting.
You're disgusting.
But
Anyway,
you also have to think that it's a mix of French vanilla creamer and your sweet cream.
yeah, that's probably
Absolutely fucking
disgusting.
gross.
Yeah, well, that's your fault. Now you owe me for a thing of creamer.
I do not. I didn't even use like.
How much did you put in there? I know how much creamer you put in
Not even
coffee.
a quarter cup before I realized that I fucked up. You never know. I literally went like this, and I'm like, why is this so big? And I was like, oh.
Anyway,
I don't know why.
I don't feel like getting up, so you need to take yourself out back.
But I'm not old.
She was a good dog.
You want
Taught her
to
well. No.
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 No. Okay.
I want to be left alone. Please.
recommended by Moon.
Go to start 2.
This item is part of an alliance quest, and if you never hand in that quest, you can have this item for as long as you please. So what does it do? Well, as you can see, it deals damage and drains 100 to 501 mana every seconds if you are not worthy. It also takes away health, so equipping this will make you kill yourself. But wait, how on earth is that useful? Well, here's the thing. If you die by this item, and not by, let's say, a raid boss, because your raid is wiping, you get no durability loss. And no durability loss
that's true.
no repair bill, which in the end will save you lots of money if you have this with you for a raid. So
That's not
why,
bad.
in my humble opinion, this item is underrated. It's a great way to kill yourself without suffering any durability loss.
Holy shit.
Next item is an item you don't wear, but
smart.
a separate usable item. The Clutch of Forces, recommended by Fish Food 159. This item drops off of Molecular Palette in Stratholm. What this does is basically the same thing as a Mage's counterspell. It counters the enemy spellcast, preventing any spell from magic being cast in 10 seconds.
Can you... Is this reusable? So like you just have this and you can use it whenever you want? Or is it like you use it once and it's gone? One charge, okay. Fuck. Oh, and it's unique, so you can't farm them out.
That and it also generates a high amount of threat.
Wow.
Unfortunately, when you use the item, it's gone, and you can only carry one at a time.
Okay.
But despite this, I'd still say it's a pretty sick item to hold on to if you're running Stratholm and this drops.
Yeah, it's insane.
Imagine being a mage, having this in your bag, finding another player that wants to kill you, and right after he thinks you use your counterspell, you pull this out and catch him by surprise with a double counterspell. That, and because it generates a high amount of threat, you could also hold on to this if you're a tank and looking for some extra threat on a particular target.
That's
all in all,
true.
not a mind-blowing item, but something that can definitely throw people off if you use this in PvP.
That's a big true.
Up next is the Jagged Obsidian Shield, which on its own is a half-decent item, but that 3-second silence is definitely not something to ignore. Elemental Shamans are probably the ones that can benefit the most from this, as they always prefer to roll around with a main hand and a shield.
Oh,
and
yeah.
since they can decimate their opponent in just a few seconds with the amount of burst damage they can do,
what the fuck?
a small window of 3 seconds is other
Yeah,
silence
guys, I think I'm playing the wrong
could be
class.
enough to make or break a fight. Especially because a Chain Lightning plus Earthshock combo takes only 1.5 seconds to cast, and with a little luck can deal well over 2,000 damage.
God damn. This is crazy.
Next item I want to talk about is the Shatterer, recommended by AJ9 Lives.
Oh yeah.
And is an item crafted by a blacksmith.
We were actually looking at this the other day.
Disarm the target for 10
this
seconds.
Is insane.
10 seconds is a huge time window. So let's say you're battling a warrior with a big two-hander. You can now do next to no damage in a 10-second time window, which again,
I don't think this is really that useful because anybody that you're really PvPing against seriously is going to have a weapon chain on their weapon or some sort of way for them to not get disarmed. Like, this is a low-level meta weapon, but I can't see it happening at, like, high level a whole lot. Right? You have chain to anti-disarm? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so I'm not really sure how useful this is really going to be.
can be a huge opportunity for you to turn the fight and come out victorious.
Right.
And because it's a weapon, you can once again swap this out during
Oh yeah,
combat.
PvE.
So
Oh,
you
you're
can
right
react
about that.
instantly when getting charged by a warrior and try to turn the tide with this item.
So I want to say one thing. Like one thing I really like about Classic, like playing a warrior tank, is that I can use these different weapons to add different utility to my group. So like, let's say I'm off tanking. If I'm off tanking, I can fucking I can swip on, swatch, and swip on. Wait. I can equip. I can equip Nightfall, and I can apply a debuff to the boss that makes them take more magic. Or I can use this axe. And I think all of the different ways that I can kind of use these special, unique items to like help the group, it makes me feel like I'm more of a, it like makes me feel like I'm more part of it, right? And I think that's so fucking badass. I like it a lot.
Ooh, a rare.
And then we get to the Windweaver Staff. A staff with stamina, intellect, and arcane
Not
damage.
another one.
So, on paper, this doesn't look
No.
like a great staff.
No.
Warlocks and priests don't rely on arcane damage, and mages don't use arcane missiles that
No.
often. So, what's the purpose of the staff? Well, balance druid. If you're one of those druids that wants to actually try and level as a balance druid, here's your staff. This thing is amazing for its level, and with a few well-selected items, means you can deal nasty Starfire crits at an early level and completely catch people by surprise. It is a random world drop, so you do have to hope that either you get it yourself, or that it's on the auction house for a decent price.
Who levels his balance?
Then we have Mirror Song,
Come on,
provided by Bob Plays Games, which you can get through a quest chain that involves you going to Skullomance.
I was about to say,
what's
that's
so great
really
about this
good.
item? It doesn't have some weird chance on hit. The stats
Damn,
are anything
75%.
Why is this here?
It's a super fast sword.
Well, first off, this item is fairly unknown to the general Classic public.
Okay.
Throughout my years and years of playing on retail vanilla and vanilla private servers, I've barely ever seen any rogue with this. And while I admit that there might be better offhanders out there, this one is still worth considering. First up, it's a sword, a dagger. So if you're going combat sword spec, that means two weapons that can benefit from sword specialization.
Right.
Next, it has a pretty fast attack speed, great for applying poisons to the target.
True.
So, while this doesn't do anything super special, it's still a solid weapon that not a whole lot of people know of, which makes this item pretty underrated if you ask me.
God damn.
Next item is Serenity, recommended by Bob Plays Games.
That's so
yeah,
OP,
I know,
dude.
the guy was on fire with the recommendations.
Yeah, dude,
Anyway,
this Bob
this is
guy
another
knows how to
item
play the
with
game.
a pretty nifty chance on hit.
Holy
it dispels
shit.
a magic effect on the current foe. Now against some classes, this might not do a whole lot. Like, maybe take away a druid's mark with a wild buff.
Yo, I should actually use this whenever I'm dueling these fucking priests, man. And like, whenever they just keep using these fucking shields over and over, I just put this hammer on them, and I just beat the fucking shields right off of them. It's amazing. No, think about that. That's actually so good.
However, it can be quite nasty against the paladin who just popped their Blessing of Protection or Hand of Freedom, and then this item takes it away.
I don't know
It
about
is
that.
quite situational.
I think
but in
priests
a
are the only
situation
ones
like
that are
that, it can really turn a 1v1 into your favor, and for that reason, I decided to put this on the list. Next item I want to talk about isn't really an item, it's a whole set, which is the Ironweave set, recommended
Fuck
by
is this?
Gordon Tang. Now at first glance, this set seems
fuck is
terrible
this
for
shit?
casters. No spell damage, no spell hits, crits,
Okay.
or whatever. What they do have, however, is a lot of armor. On a Warlock with a simple scroll of protection and a Mark of the Wild buff, I managed to get somewhere around 35 to 40% damage reduction. You get 10% chance to resist silence and interrupt effects, which combined with Soul Link means you're probably going to be able to take a huge beating and completely throw off a warrior, as he's probably thinking, why the hell am I hitting this Clothy for so little? This
Warrior's never gonna think that, okay? Because they do so much damage, you're just gonna die. Like, the warrior's not gonna think it. Well, warriors don't think about anything anyway. They're just gonna go in there and kill you, right? It doesn't matter. And I don't know about that. I don't know how useful this is really gonna be, because it feels like if you use this, you're losing your damage at the same time. Sack Fear and
Ooh.
Berserker Rage out of it and interrupt the fucking bandage. Like, trust me, like, once warriors get up to 60,
That's a pretty nice paladin helmet.
like, I literally, like, I'll do so much damage, they're just gonna die.
Or shaman.
It doesn't make any sense. Of course, for this to
No,
really
we'll
have
see.
a huge effect, you're going to have to get
We'll
at
see.
least the majority of the set, which can take a lot of time. But
Yeah.
it's definitely something to keep in the back of your head when running dungeons, and in some situations can help you out a lot. Like fighting a rogue, thinking he can take away a huge chunk of your health with his initial stun lock. And because of that, I decided to throw this onto the list
Oh,
as
I
well.
hate that fucking thing, dude. It's so
Next
annoying.
item on this list is the Demon Slayer, another item that usually ends up on the auction house pretty cheap, mainly because it only has increased attack power against demons.
That's pretty good.
However, to
99?
a hunter, this item could be very useful for when you're fighting demons, or your guild goes out to, let's say, kill Lord Kazakh.
Oh my god,
I mean,
dude.
think about it. 99 extra attack power is more than some really good epics give, like Ashkandi. And
Wow.
considering how this
That's-
is a
yeah.
level 52 blue item that isn't all that expensive to get, I'd say for the right situations, this is a very nifty and underrated
What
item.
the fuck?
And the last item I want to talk about is the Wildthorn Mail, an item crafted by Blacksmith.
Nature damage?
Now, in my years of playing vanilla
Oh,
on
for
retail and my years of
shamans.
playing on vanilla private servers, I have barely ever seen someone craft this, let alone wear this. Mainly because it is admittedly rather expensive to make, but the stats are pretty insane for elemental shamans.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. Is there any other chest out there that offers you that much spell damage at such an early level? Hell, even the Zandalar Shaman chest, the go-to chest for elemental shamans, which you get much later down the line,
Okay.
has the same amount of spell damage. I mean, sure, that's spell damage, and this
Okay.
is nature damage, but since elemental shamans rely mostly on nature damage, that particular difference is pretty small. And the cool thing is, if you combine this with the Elven Spirit Claws, a leather BOE item that
Yeah,
usually
you
isn't
do
too
more
expensive
damage.
off
That's
the auction
crazy.
house, you will have a whopping 55 bonus nature damage from just 2 items that you could have before even reaching level 50. So, while this item is expensive to make, I'd say it's definitely still worth it, and because it's fairly unknown, I'd say that this is definitely an underrated item. And there you go, guys, 20 items that
Okay.
I feel are underrated in Classic WoW. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be back very soon, but until then, I'm Hamster
This
Wheel,
was a good
and
video.
have a good one.
This was actually a very good video. I like this video a lot. I wish they did more. I don't know if this video is going to be any good or not. People suggested it, but we'll see what it's like. Okay, this is a good start. I like it so far. Everything's looking good so far. Bioman's Hippogriff is a joke. Fun. Okay, we've got like an 8-minute intro here. This is almost as long as the one that I have for my stream. So let me go ahead and read some donations here before I get into it.
Keep it real.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Meldron, and I've played World of Warcraft for a very long time.
Good.
Even though I started in late vanilla and quit in Legion,
Okay.
I've experienced the vast majority of WoW's evolution. I would like to share my
Time is
opinions
money,
on why
friend.
you should try Classic WoW when it launches.
Okay.
Yes, I know. By now, I'm willing to bet money you've watched many videos that compare aspects of retail and Classic WoW.
Yes.
These videos explore the core gameplay differences between the two versions of the game by primarily focusing on aspects like class identity.
It
and
does sound
roleplay,
like McConnell,
the
actually.
community, the
You're
leveling
right.
experience, and progression. And I'll be the first to say
Right
that these
back.
aspects.
Alright, I'm gonna need to put my Hearthstone here.
Alone, amazing reasons to try Classic. However,
Okay.
one thing that I think gets overlooked often is the unique storytelling that exists in Vanilla WoW. In my opinion, this is perhaps the most important aspect of what makes Vanilla unique. Primarily because most, if not all, of the aforementioned aspects were also easily apparent if you compare the Burning Crusade, or even Wrath of the Lich King, to the current iteration of the game. In no other expansion did
Okay.
the story get introduced to the player in such a personal and subtle way than in Vanilla WoW. And before we go further, I want to clarify that when I say story, I'm talking about the lore itself, the antagonists, the
Oh shit,
behavior factors,
that's not what I wanted to do.
and the lives of each and every NPC.
I like
There are
that.
3 main
Okay.
interconnected ways Vanilla does this. The first is by not making you, the player, the center of attention.
There it is.
The second is by providing the lore within the quest text and not in cutscenes and cinematics.
Exactly.
And finally, by subtly and slowly exposing.
You know what the best part about it is now? They have the lore in the book that nobody fucking reads. Oh no, there's a cinematic on the website. Oh no, it's in the book.
I'm gonna check the auction house again.
What about the quest?
Player to the game's antagonist.
Since I have a lot of gold.
Too much.
And dungeoning systems.
Hey,
Using these three mechanisms, the game developers were able to build the narrative without just pushing it in your face immediately.
There it is.
This, to me, is good game design and ultimately great storytelling.
Obviously.
Let's now explore the first point. You are but a cog in a great machine.
Yeah, I prefer
I know,
this a
to
lot.
many of you this may seem like a letdown, but in my and many others' opinions, everyone having weapons of legendary power and artifacts of forbidden
Stupid.
knowledge
It's fucking
is
dumb.
extremely immersion breaking.
Yeah,
In Vanilla WoW, when you saw someone have a rare mount or a legendary item,
that guy
you'd
was a
mark that day in
god.
your calendar, take a screenshot, and
Yep.
tell your friends you were in the presence
Yep.
of a heroic player.
There it is.
It was amazing to not only see, but also gave you something to aspire to, while
Fuck
also
yes.
making the world more unknown, more vast.
Yes.
Vanilla makes it unapologetically and abundantly clear that you are insignificant when you log into the game for the first time.
Nobody gives a fuck
Your gear
about
is
you.
shabby, your blades
You
are
die to
dull,
wolves.
and your abilities are average at best. This is not
At
in
best.
place to demean you as a player. No. It is in place for a very important reason. It relays to you that there is so much more out there. So much more to explore. So much to learn.
That's right.
In my opinion, it gives you something to look forward to.
That's
but
right.
most importantly, you not
So I'm pretty sure I want both of these.
that the world
This
is
replace the
about.
Tometic Clan ring, and this
Take
to
up your
replace
sword and
the
fight an adventure. Guess what? Someone else will.
Well, that's the
Circle
same
of
with Legion.
Spirit.
If you won't be the High Lord.
I don't know. 10 Spirit's pretty good though, isn't
Everybody
it?
else already is.
The story, therefore, is not dependent on your actions. You are not a horde.
I'm just gonna get this one because it's undeniably better.
Alliance forces.
That's right.
You are, at best, just a volunteer joining the local militia to assist your faction and aspire to be something greater.
Just a piece of shit,
But
basically.
Make no mistake.
Big dumb
You
piece
can
of shit.
become something much greater. Just not the main protagonist. You can instead become a somewhat integral piece of a much larger puzzle.
I
Light
just want to
Feather.
say something. One thing. Somebody said this in chat. Same fucking thing in Dark Souls.
Need a Light Feather.
That's what I liked about the Dark Souls 1 story. It reminded me of Vanilla WoW. Like, I've never felt a game that had so many similarities to Vanilla WoW than Dark Souls 1. Like, it was actually, like, really, really surprising how similar the two games were. And I put, like, 300 hours into Dark Souls 1.
Okay.
And
Good enough.
ultimately, take on the forces of evil to plague your world. But, and this is a big but, you cannot do it alone.
A
You
big
see,
but.
in Vanilla, in order to achieve greatness, you need to work well with a team. Whether that be 4, 9, 14, 19, or 39 other players.
Yep.
In this way, the richness of the world slowly unfolds around you and builds the
Let me sell this ring real quick.
And that community aspect so many of us are looking forward to experience once again.
There it is.
You start your adventure in
Alright.
Azeroth,
Here we go.
delivering a letter
Yeah,
to
you're
your
a fucking
quest,
idiot, basically.
clearing out some vermin from a mine,
Hey.
and slaughtering a few pesky boars that are eating up crops in a local farm. Slowly, as you prove your worth, you are awarded gear and are tasked with fighting more dangerous foes, like the Defias Brotherhood and the brutal Quillbore.
I would agree with that.
It is then you first
Okay.
realize that there are other forces at work in Azeroth that exist on a continuum between good and evil. There is a lot of
It's
gray
an
area in
adventure.
Vanilla WoW. The Defias have some noble qualities and warranted reasons for their actions. The Quillbore want to protect their culture and their lands, even though there is some greater corruption that exists.
Van Cleef did nothing wrong. I just realized something. I never put these two things together. I think that a reason why people think that Vanilla WoW and Burning Crusade and everything had so much better stories in them and people remember the stories so much more is the fact that you didn't have quest helpers. So in order to actually figure out what to do on the quest, you had to read it. So it basically forced you into reading the lore. Like, it was a secondary thing, but you would be reading the quest to figure out where to go, right? Even if you didn't care about the lore, you would pick up on that just by having to read the quest to know what the hell to do with it. Like, that's actually insane. Like, all of these weird things. This is what I was saying before about how could vanilla WoW have happened without it just being an accident? Like, it's so... There are so many ways like that that are just so perfect. I can't believe that someone smart enough could actually do this intentional. Like, I'll be completely honest. Like, I don't think that there's anybody smart enough in the entire world to create the game with that intentionally in mind. Like, that, it must have been an accident.
Unbeknownst to them. This holds true for many of the forces you will interact with, like the
Right.
Centaur and the Furlbogs.
Yep.
And with each new zone and each enemy you meet, you become entrenched in the living lore of the game.
You have to be.
But it's up to you to read the quest text. It's up to you.
I forget where this dude's at.
Khadgar isn't telling you why what you're doing is important or whether it's noble or not. That decision is entirely up to you. It isn't until later in the leveling process that you are fighting proponents of true evil, like agents of the Burning Legion or servants of the old gods.
Fuck them.
In this way, Vanilla extends the world and creates a diverse storyline. Think of
Doesn't
Vanilla
even
as
matter.
a good dungeon master. If you have never played a tabletop game, then you may not get this comparison. But when playing Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder, the dungeon master's job, if he or she is doing it properly, is to let the story unfold slowly, to not overtly explain how each puzzle is completed, and to put you and your party in situations that require you to work together and think. To me, Vanilla is an excellent dungeon master that never shows his or her full hand. Unfortunately, this dungeon master analogy has become less applicable as WoW has evolved. The game,
Wow.
in my opinion, now tells you everything you need to know before even providing an adventure to embark on.
Holy shit.
Let's cover point number 2.
God damn.
The lore is in the text. If you've ever played the Burning Crusade, then you remember the moment you entered the Burning Portal. Honestly, it is a moment that I will never forget.
Same, dude.
What is the first
Fucking
thing you
same.
see when traveling through space and time and setting foot on another world? Think back. Yes. Score.
The first thing that I thought was, how long is this loading screen gonna take? What the fuck? Everybody's gonna be ahead of me. I'm never gonna get 70 at this rate.
First and score.
My computer was bad.
Am I saying that this experience wasn't amazing and heart-stopping? No, not at all. I'm simply trying to point out the core differences between the storytelling styles.
Right.
You may also remember the epic cinematic that reintroduced us to a fan favorite, Illidan Stormrage. Now, if we compare both the cinematics for Vanilla and TBC, what do you notice right away aside from the cleaner and better graphics?
Well, it's centered around players. Like, I'm gonna say this right now. Like, if you think about it, like, the vanilla WoW cinematic is centered around players. There's no like named NPCs there. It's just around the actual players and the people that move the game forward. Now, obviously, that's transitioned into Illidan because Illidan's the main focus of the Burning Crusade. But a lot of the other cinematics and everything were focused on players and their accomplishments rather than the game as a whole. I need to take a piss. I'll be right back. Just a second. You're not prepared? Yeah, exactly. Alright, sorry about that, boys. We're back.
Yep, you guessed it. There is an antagonist in one, and not in the other.
There it is.
You, as the player, know before you even buy the game who you will be fighting. In all fairness, this is what Mist of Pandaria and Battle for Azeroth did partially right. You don't know who the big bad is in either of those expansions from their cinematics.
That is true.
But Vanilla takes this a step further by
Yeah.
also not revealing anything during most of the leveling process either.
Yeah, that is,
It's
yeah.
not until much later that the player is introduced to the forces
Okay.
of Blackrock Mountain and Onyxia.
Wow.
Moreover, Onyxia herself attempts to bring down the city of Stormwind from within. And
Fucking
you may be
bitch.
thinking, well, Melderon, these differences are just a product of expanding the game. Each expansion has to have a theme or reason behind it, right? Yeah, I
Yes
totally
and no.
agree with you there. Expansions only cover small level ranges and are geographically inferior to the base game. But my opinion, storytelling can be done with a bit more grace and subtlety in these expansions. TBC and Wrath focused on raid encounters to drive the lore, while in Vanilla, the lore was spread evenly throughout the experience from multiple sources. In Vanilla, if you want to know why the Scarlet Crusade is so extreme, or why Tyrion Forging is standing in the middle of nowhere on the western shore of the Eastern Platelands, you have to read the quest text to find out.
And you have to read the quest text to do the quest.
Why you're going to Blackrock Mountain in the first place, you have to pay attention to attunement quests.
Yep.
There are many, many layers to the greater story of Classic WoW. Each NPC, dungeon, and raid have their own, and it's up to you to explore each of them. Also, repeatable quests were not available in Vanilla, so when you completed quests, let's say the first time you completed all the Doomsday lore quests in the Hinterlands, you actually feel like you made a difference in the world and stopped a real threat to your faction. Now,
I never really felt that way. Like, I don't think that's really had... Blizzard's tried different ways of, like, feeling, like, making the player feel like they have an impact on the world. I think the best times that Blizzard has ever done that is probably in Isle of Quel'Donis and the Molten Front. Because, and then also, there were a few times where, like, after a guild killed Deathwing or a guild killed the Lich King, you would have, like, a monument in Dalaran. So there would actually be impacts that players could have on the world, which was really cool. But for the most part, I never really gave a fuck whenever I completed the quest. I didn't feel like I did anything magical or really important. It's just that I was done with the quest. So I personally don't strongly agree with this. But I can see what he's saying.
Nowadays with dailies and world quests, the impact of completing the quest is completely lost, as you fight the same NPC
another example.
day in and day out sometimes. In Vanilla, when you completed the quest, that page of the book was turned. This established a sense of
Okay, he's not here.
into the gameplay that is akin to finishing a chapter of a good book. The first 2 points I'm giving you can be summated graphically.
I remember that both of these are, like, almost identical, and that you make a right at the fork.
We have time.
So
on the Y or left axis, the vertical one,
he's over, like, there somewhere.
on the bottom of the Y-axis, we have completely player and world-associated storytelling.
Okay.
And on the top of this axis, we have completely established lore-associated storytelling. An established lore example would be something like Illidan Stormrage or Arthas Menethil.
What would be
Above
example
the plot itself
player?
are each expansion, going from left to right through time. In Vanilla WoW, the story was much more player and world-focused, but still had some established lore elements. In the very next expansion, the Burning Crusade, the narrative became much more established lore-oriented, with its inclusion of the Burning Legion.
I think he's down here.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
In Wrath
Okay.
of the Lich King, the
It was
Scourge
all about
and
Arthas.
Arthas stole the show, moving us even more into the established lore. In Cataclysm, the world changed significantly, but was still grounded in established lore. Here we see a slight shift in storytelling. In Mists of Pandaria, the same trend continues as Pandaria was actually established lore, and we have all the old guy stuff as well.
Okay, dude. Okay, dude.
Okay.
Who's hitting me?
Is where things really turn around.
Yeah.
We drop way down into the player and world-associated storytelling, into, my opinion, the realm of
Is this a sub count?
This occurs for two interconnected reasons.
The fuck?
The first is that the lore went into a totally new direction, as, yep, you guessed it, a totally new timeline was introduced.
Great idea.
No established lore behind it.
Yeah.
The second reason is, since we don't have any established lore, someone had to become the center of attention. And that person, you. This is why you are now referred to as the hero of the narrative. The story has no legs to stand on. And in Legion, this got even worse, as everyone and their mother had the damned Ashbringer. This is completely lazy storytelling, in my opinion, and makes the story so unbelievable. And now, with DFA, I honestly...
So, I think really the distinction he's trying to draw here, because it didn't really make a lot of sense to me, and based off of the question marks in chat, I think that most people feel that way. So, like the top here, the story mode, means that the lore is basically told through, is told through, like, extra stories, right? Like, so the Lich King, the Illidan, and the player is basically a vehicle of moving that story forward. And at the bottom here, in like WoD and Legion, I would completely disagree with this WoD placement personally. I think that everything in WoD was pretty much determined by the NPCs. The NPCs did everything. The player really had no impact whatsoever, but, you know, maybe you could disagree with that. And down here, what he's saying is that this is more things that are driven by players and the storyline being driven by players. So above, this is the storyline being driven by NPCs versus being driven by players. That's the only way that I can really figure out how to make sense out of this.
They have no idea what they were going for here. Is the narrative player, worlds, lore, or is it faction-based? Honestly, I have no clue. But I'll be honest, I'm genuinely interested in where they go with the narrative in the future. If you're like me, I'm sure you've noticed that this trend line really simulates the one buzzing around the internet depicting.
I think it's weird that the workers run away.
Subscriber number.
They were right about the
It is an
WoD.
interesting association to make, but just remember, guys,
Yeah.
correlation does not necessarily equal causation.
Obviously.
If they are linked, it would mean that people enjoy good lore-driven narratives. However, these are hard to keep going in the long run. In actuality, the sole reason I made this was to only point out that vanilla exists in a very unique place on this timeline, with a more player and world-related story, but still having aspects of established lore peppered in.
Okay.
It's extremely balanced, and to me, this is what makes vanilla unique. Finally, let's discuss the third point, the subtle unfolding of the lore. I'd like to tackle this point utilizing examples from the questing system, and I'd like to personally thank a friend of the channel, Taladrill, for pointing this one out.
Okay.
If
Thank you,
you've ever had the
Taladrill.
pleasure of public environment, then you may remember digging up some insect eggs south of Guajo.
No.
Silithid eggs, to be exact.
No.
Utilizing a special quest item. The quest giver, Corin, a troll in the crossroads, says to you, Melderon, I've been sent to the crossroads to watch over the land and take note of its happenings for me masters in Orgrimmar. One object of my studies are the insect-like creatures found in the south of the Field of Giants.
He's doing his best,
We know
okay?
little of these creatures, so I've been making it a point to discover more. They seem to have intelligence to them, more so than any normal animal. Take this thing to Lawman and collect some of the creature's eggs from their mounds. But be careful. If alerted, they will attack you.
Okay.
I'm really sorry you guys had to suffer through that. Anyway,
You did great.
when you turn the quest in, he says,
Yeah, good effort.
You please me, Melderon. The eggs in the tool. Well done. And for your support. And that's it. There really isn't any logical follow-up to this quest. However, there are similar quests in Feralis, Tenaris, and Unguro that task you with finding out more about these strange insects. But all of them are exploratory in nature, as the Horde, the Alliance, and even the Goblins
Oh,
are trying to
fuck.
find out what makes the Silithid
Who's gonna be respawned by the time I get
These
back
quests
down
in
there?
1.9, no one really knew what the insectoids were up to. I mentioned this Silithid example for one simple reason.
Dude, that's so good.
The developers were extremely subtle, building the Encourage content up over a year before its release as a raid tier, utilizing minimal open-ended quests. As the game progressed, these misunderstood curiosities grew into something literally world-changing, as the story ultimately led to the Gates of Encourage opening event, and our first brush as a player base to one of the old gods, Cthulhu. This
Holy
is an
fuck.
excellent example of good storytelling and foreshadowing, as the Silithid story arc provides an example of how invested the developers were to the story. Not only that, but the quests, which seemed unconnected at first, spanned several zones and tens of levels. That's dedication in design. And this is only one example of great quest engineering. We can say the same for the Morladim quest in Duskwood, the Missing Diplomat questline, which spans 5 zones, the Stones That Bind Us in the Swamp of Sorrows and the Blasted Lands, Tyrion Forgering's In Dreams questline, and countless others. These quests not only build a living, breathing world, but
I had never wanted to I'd never had any sort of like inspiration to make a game, right? Ever. The first time that I ever felt like I was really watching or playing a game that I was really like inspired to like, man, maybe I should make video games myself was Dark Souls 1. I saw that game, I beat the game, and I realized like how good it was. I was like, there's no way I could ever make this game. Like that, this is just incredible. Like there's no way. Going back and looking at all these things about WoW, and all the ways that they did this, and, like all these little moving parts, like it actually makes me feel like there's a lot of games that I'd be like, yeah, I could made this game, right? And like obviously I couldn't, but it's like you'd think that you could. Whenever you look at how many pieces in vanilla WoW, I couldn't even begin to do this.
Yeah, might as well. Let me go to my body.
I did. This is incredible. Like,
I'm just gonna go ahead and end the stream here because I'm just gonna go to my body and then I'm gonna get off. So, toodles.